Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to make a things to remember video for Maliss for post Aliance Insight. Basically, just like tips and tricks and things that you might forget or important to know. So, the first thing, playing around dominant symbols. Specifically, the use case of the card Link Rebo. So, let's say we have Underground plus like a backup or a Cybers, right? And we have like 3 blank cards. Well, if we activate Underground, let's say we go Dormouse, right? Our opponent changes Dominant Impulse to Dormouse to stop it. This hand just doesn't play. Like Dormouse and backup doesn't really do much. It's like IP pass. It's very, very lackluster. We just have these 2 engine cards. Alternatively, we can go a different line. You can normal summon the backup first. Well, let me add the card. You can normal summon the backup first. You can add a card, so let's say Wizard. Then you can make Link Rebo. And then you can activate the field spell. And now that they have Impulse, they cannot Impulse, or you just negate it. So this is something to keep in mind. Using Link Rebo to play around hand traps, most notably Impermanent Impulse, and something that is very, very relevant. Okay. The second thing is Chessy Cat. So let's say you open like Chessy Cat plus MTP. You set MTP, go normal summon Chessy Cat, MTP banish Cat, add the card, add like Dormouse for example, and then you summon Cat, right? And this is more relevant now because Droll's in the format. So let's say you get Drolled. Well, if you know Chessy Cat banishes a monster in hand to draw 2. But something that I've seen a lot of people like not know, and I've seen people like pass in this scenario multiple times in testing for Alliance Insight format, is that Cat's effect to draw is optional. You don't have to draw Cat because it says then you can draw 2 cards. So even though I got Jolt here, I can still just activate Cat just to banish the Dormouse from my hand to summon it, which is really nice. In actual game, you might there's argument to like add March Hare, but it's like whatever. This is like just an example. So this is something I think is actually really important because Joel's going to see more play and something that's underutilized, I think. Okay, the next example, another case of Link Rebo. Link Rebo is a graveyard effect because people don't know. Link Rebo, obviously, you know about the field effect. When your opponent activates a trap card, you contribute this card and negate that card's effect, and if you do, banish it. Link Rebo has a graveyard effect as well. It says if this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can tribute an Atignister monster that special summon from the extra deck, special summon this card. So you can actually tribute your Code Talker because it's an Atignister. Why is that relevant? Well, let's say your opponent activates Terraforming, right? And you chain a Code Talker because you want to negate Terraforming. Would you negate Terraforming in the actual game? Probably not, but let's say you wanted to here. It's just a random card you wanted to negate. Your opponent changed Metatronus. What you can do is you can chain Link Rebo to tribute the Atignister monster, summon itself, and then Metatronus is going to resolve without effect, and then your Code Talker is still going to go through. So using Link Rebo to dodge like stuff on a Code Talker is very, 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 very important. And this means that if you're on the opposite side and you have something like Metatronus, you have to use it preemptively on a Code Talker if you want to use it on that. You have to use it preemptively. And now, also, because you have the Link Rebo on field, you have in the mirror match, you have a stop for Impulse, you have a stop for the traps, and they have the field spell, so you can't attack over it. So it's very, 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 very relevant in the mirror match, in my opinion. Next, Wizard Atignister. Oh, real quick, I'll say for Link Rebo, one other thing I wanted to mention is that it cannot negate trap card effects. It can only negate trap card activations. So it can't negate graveyard effects of trap cards. So for example, like Blackout Laugh or Fiendsmith in Paradise, you can't negate the graveyard effect of either of those. Or if your opponent has a continuous trap that's already face up on the field and activates the effect, you can't negate that. But yeah. The next thing, Wizard Atignister. Wizard has a couple of things that are important about it. So let's say you go Dormouse here, right? Okay, we get Imperm, like sure, we have Wizard, we go Link Rebo. You go Wizard, target Dormouse. Dormouse says, or Wizard says, if you control Cyber's monster special summon from the extra deck, you can target a Dark Cybers in your graveyard, special summon both this card from your hand and that monster in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Cyber's monsters. It says specifically special summon both this card and that monster. So it has to summon the monster from the graveyard, summon itself, and vice versa from the hand. So if your opponent has a Bestial, it may chain it to the Dormouse, then your Dormouse is your wizard is not going to resolve, which is something to keep in mind. In a scenario like this, it's not super relevant because normally they're not going to target like your Malice name if you haven't used the banish effect, but sometimes it can be relevant. So that's something to note with the card. Also, something else with something else with Wizard as well, which I'm about to get into. It does not negate the effects about what you target. So you can target like a rabbit or a dormouse or like a backup and just use the effects, which is pretty cool if you haven't already. And then Wizard has another effect too, a graveyard effect, that says you can banish this card from your graveyard, field or graveyard, sorry. So field, you can banish yourself from the field too, which is very important. Not really very important, but it's something might come up. Then target one monster your opponent controls, change its battle position. Is that relevant? I think it is. Honestly, it is might be the most relevant thing in this video. Let me show you guys an example of when that would come up. And it actually has come up for me a couple times already. Let's say you're facing a board of monsters, right? Your opponent has like 5-6 monsters in the field. You're playing Malice. Access code is good in our deck, but we don't have that many attributes. It's mainly just like dark and maybe like water or like flash mage. So maybe think, but like if you're playing the mirror match, you want to kill your opponent. So you might be like, oh, how do I kill them? Well, let's say we have 4 monsters, right? Including like a wizard in circulation. But something you can do is you can make a heart scripter, and then we make access code talker. Access code talker effect, gain 3000 by targeting heart scripter. Access code talker effect, banish heart scripter, target the mouse in the mirror, not target, sorry, doesn't target, destroy it, and then heart scripter pay 900, summon itself back out. Heart scripter is now at 5600 attack. And then you can use the effect of wizard in the graveyard to change the battle position of an opponent's monster. We can change their monster to attack position. Right here, this is 10,900 damage. So what you can actually do is just like kill your opponent without even clearing all their monsters. You can go access code over a monster with like that attack, deal 4,700, and then Heart Scripter over Red Ransom for the last 3,300 exactly. And it's exactly 8k, which is actually really funny that it works out like that in the mirror match. Something to keep in mind is that Heart Scripter is only 5,600 because the Dormouse resolved. If it didn't, then it would be less. But also, often in the mirror, they're going to have less than 8,000 life points anyway, so that normally it's not a big deal. And then with other decks, it's still chill too. So yeah, you can kill without actually killing all their monsters, which is very important because decks have a lot of follow up right now, and it's very hard to grind turn 3. So being able to like just kill them through it is nice as well. And here, obviously, you would have to destroy the underground with the access code because underground has a protection effect that says you have to target their links for attacks. So yeah, very very relevant. And also on the flip side, if you're playing Malice and you use P March Hare and you're playing like a mirror match, when you use Firewall effect, make sure you also bounce your March Hare. Because normally you have like an extra bounce because Firewall can do bounce for 3. So it's like, well, you don't really need to bounce 3 opponent cards. You bounce like 2 of them. So normally you bounce your March Hare because you don't want to have it on the field because number 1, it clogs your bones. But number 2, you don't want the wizard to be able to kill you over it. Okay, another one. Something that March Hare has like a couple effects that don't really come up much. So the first one is your opponent cannot target link monsters that point to this card effect, which is somewhat relevant. But it has the banish effect that says if this card is banished, you can pay 300 LP and target one of your banished Malice monsters added to your hand. This does not need to target itself, even though 99% of the time it's going to be targeting itself. So let's say you have like a Heart Scripter that got banished, either from a Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, or let's say you Metal Tronus target like a Chaos Hunter, and you don't play Bystials, right? So Metal Chaos Hunter is your out for Metal Tronus is Heart Scripter. So let's say you target it with Heart Scripter, you summon Heart Scripter, you put it back, or whatever, or you banish it. Obviously, this was not properly summoned, and you do not have a way to like put it back, because your way to put back your Malice cards is Heart Scripter. Well, like I said, March Hare does not need to add back itself. So you can actually add back anything, including your extra deck monsters, which is very, very important. So it gives you another way to recycle them, which makes a card like Ghost Reaper even more bad. So most of the time, you're going to be adding back March Hare, but sometimes it does come up to add back other cards as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the last thing to note is I don't have the card in this replay, but Artifact Lancia, I want to discuss that. A lot of your disruption cannot be activated under Artifact Lancia. A code talker says, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, contribute 1 link monster this card points to. Negate the activation. If you do, banish that card. This card cannot be activated under Lancia. Same thing with Link Rebo. This card cannot be activated under Lancia, which is very, very important and is really relevant. A super relevant example of this is, let's say you're playing Thrust, right? And you Thrust set Sanctum in the mirror match, and you have like something like that, or you Thrust set some card, and you want to, let's say you Thrust set Sanctum, sure. Okay, that's not the best example. Never mind. I'm like, but basically you can like make this to like make sure your opponent can't like. There are examples. I'm like confused myself. I'm not gonna lie, but just know you cannot activate these cards under Lancia. So sometimes if you have Lancia, you're gonna prioritize making like other disruption like Firewall instead. But yeah, anywho, that's it for my things. Wow, this video was long. Yeah, that's it for my things from ever. And if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.